The waning sympathy, how global perception of Israel is shifting. For decades, Israel has enjoyed a privileged status in the eyes of much of the Western world, born out of deep historical guilt over the atrocities committed against Jews during the Holocaust. Nations like the United States, the United Kingdom, and France poured not only diplomatic support but vast financial and military aid into the Israeli state, shielding it from criticism under the moral umbrella of "never again." But in a rapidly changing world, that shield is cracking. The world is awakening. The same nations that once sympathized with Israel are beginning to look upon it with a skeptical, even accusatory gaze, not unlike the one once directed at Nazi Germany. It's a chilling comparison, but not an uncommon one today. Israel's ongoing policies in Gaza and the West Bank, often viewed as ethnic cleansing or apartheid by international observers, are fueling a backlash that transcends traditional political lines. The haunting irony? Many of the Arabs suffering today are themselves Semitic peoples, sharing the same ancient lineage as Jews, rendering the anti-Semitism accusation increasingly hollow when applied to critics of Israeli policy. This shift in perception is fueled by the democratizing force of the Internet. Social media has become the new frontline of geopolitical awareness. Footage of bombed hospitals, mourning families, and military oppression bypasses traditional media filters. The once dominant narrative, carefully curated by media outlets aligned with elite interests, is now being openly challenged by grassroots citizen journalism. People around the globe are no longer relying on governments or legacy networks to tell them who the victim is. As a result, the old tactics of the Israel lobby, branding every criticism as anti-Semitic, leveraging influence through campaign financing and elite think tanks, are beginning to lose effectiveness. In fact, the charge of anti-Semitism, once a powerful deterrent to criticism, is now often viewed as a cynical tool to deflect accountability for war crimes and human rights violations. People are not afraid of this label anymore. They see through it. Nowhere is the power of the Israel lobby more evident than in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump, a self-declared champion of America First, has proven to be a puppet of the lobby, pushing policies that serve Israel's strategic goals at the expense of American taxpayers. His moving of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, his brokering of the Abraham Accords, and his silence during Israel's brutal campaigns in Gaza all betray where his loyalties lie. But even Trump, with his bombastic charisma, is struggling under the weight of rising public awareness. The Internet has exposed not just Israel's actions, but the extent to which American foreign policy has been hijacked to support a foreign state. Likewise, the case of Ukraine further erodes public patience. Americans and Europeans alike are beginning to question why their hard-earned tax money is being funneled into yet another foreign conflict, be it in the name of democracy, NATO, or Western values. Israel and Ukraine are increasingly seen as two sides of the same coin, geopolitical projects that serve elite interests while draining public resources and inflaming global instability. And yet, we overlook a major player in the Middle East, Turkey. Despite having a compromised leader like Recep Tayyip Erdogan, whose ties to Mossad and Israel are whispered in intelligence circles, the Turkish people are overwhelmingly anti-Israel. Erdogan may walk a careful line, balancing domestic Islamic populism with secret regional cooperation, but his days are numbered. The public sees through his duplicity, just as they see through the manipulation in Western capitals. In conclusion, we are witnessing a tectonic shift in global consciousness. The uncritical support for Israel that once defined Western politics is fading. The victims of yesterday are not automatically saints today. And those who accuse others of bigotry to mask their own oppression are losing their moral high ground. A world once guilt-ridden is now disillusioned. And as the curtain is pulled back, it is becoming harder for Israel, or any of its political proxies, to demand allegiance, funds, or blood from a global population that has simply had enough.